all the sessions. It started with the ambassadors' discussion yesterday. For me, it made me proud to be an Indian when you heard that we have a Jewish school in a Mohammedan locality in Calcutta. 90% students are Muslim, and they celebrate Jewish holidays. I had never experienced such a very soul-searching, what I call speech, and ambassador's speech was really interesting. It made me proud to be an Indian. We have a rich diversity which we celebrate. That's our success. That got reinforced quite emphatically yesterday. Second presentation was interesting, but I'll go to Ashish's presentation, who has taken everything what one could have said. That was also excellent, gave you the insights, data, and all the information. And I must tell you, Professor Ashwini, it was your best presentation since so many times that I've seen. It was really, really excellent. I've heard you speak so many times, but this was the best. And I must confess that after you said, and whatever you said, which was very comprehensive, it is very difficult to measure up to the content and the intellectual effectiveness of your presentation. And lastly, I think Mr. Nandkishore, if I see him somewhere here, will be very busy post Mr. Fatal's presentation. We are going to have a Mahabharata in India if we go by what he's going to say. So all in all, thank you for inviting me. It's been excellent so far. And I got very enriched in terms of what I heard and the kind of execution of TAFI Convention I saw. I had to change the script, largely one because of time paucity, and secondly, honestly, Ashish yesterday and Ashwini today has said everything. So I like to make it very simple, and I hope that we will get the audience participation in this to make it a little relevant, but there will be repetition, which will be something that Ashish said and something what Ashwini said in the morning. I was told we are talking about more the merrier, and to me, more the merrier would mean growth opportunities, but also it means sustainable profitability. So I tried to structure 6-7 points, and I hope that you will be with me over the next 10 minutes and try to get the essence of the point I'm trying to make, which is that we have seen growth. We're going to see transformational growth. We've seen actually transformational growth, and I'll give you some numbers. But we're going to see transformational growth for the next 3 to 4 decades. It's good to be a young man of 25, 30 in India right now, because that's the growth that we will see going forward. But I am actually worried, given the way we are set up, are we going to be profitable? So the structure of my presentation is that before we talk about the growth that's going to happen, some of which was spoken, I like to basically emphasize more on, let's take a point to review what has happened in the last growth cycle, which started in 2004 to 2014. It was a transformational growth. From a 25 million traffic in 2002, 2003, ladies and gentlemen, we are currently at about 115 million passengers. So in about 10, 12 years, closer to 90 million additional passengers have been added. That is 50 times more than what has happened in the previous 5 decades. It's transformational, let's accept it. When you look at the numbers, both on the, when I break this 115 odd million, that's currently the traffic, the domestic moved from 14 million to 60 million. Again, remarkable. International moved from 15 million to 45, which is both inbound and outbound. And inbound roughly from 2 million, 2.5 million to about closer to 8 million. We have seen what I call transformational decade of growth. In 2003 and 4, and these are some good stats for us to understand that what has actually happened. The total turnover of all the 3 airlines that time, in 2003-4, was roughly $2 billion. I've calculated this at the current exchange rate, so it might be different when we calculate the exchange rate that was there in 2003-4. Closer today, the turnover of the airlines is closer to $10 billion. We had 140 planes. We're closer to about 400 planes right now. And in 2003 and 4, this is remarkable. The Jet Airways turnover in 2003-4 was about 3,500 crores. This fiscal, they will cross 20,000 crores. In 2003 and 4, we didn't have a remarkable airline like Indigo. And today, Indigo is closer to 100 aircraft. And this fiscal, I think they will be closer to $2.5 billion in turnover. 10 years back, we didn't have the online travel companies, and I hope I got my data correct from my research team. We didn't have online travel about 2002, 2003. Today, The B2C is about 4.5 billion of the gross booking values. And I was told by my team that the B2B is about 4 billion, so roughly about 8.5 billion. Transformational, I'm sure you would agree, but that's not the point I was trying to make. My point is simple, that in this last, what you call 10 years of transformational growth, we have paid a massive cost of this growth. And I'll give you some numbers before I ask you to participate in what I'm trying to say. Though the growth has been phenomenal, the cost on the airline balance sheets is about roughly $10 billion. Losses, and the debt is about 20 billion US dollars. None of them make money except one airline. The rest of them structurally challenged. You look at online travel companies, we just saw $8.5 billion of total turnover on the online space. Structurally challenged, continuous investment, except one or two not making money. Don't see in the near term, at least the direction where they could make money. You look at the travel agents. I will take one, maybe a controversial statement. In the online space, I was discussing with Shastri just now that you have transparency, at least in the B2C, and the B2B may evolve to that transparent environment. But the travel agents are not making money, and whatever money is made is at the cost of transparency, and maybe at the cost of customer. So in these last decades, where we have seen phenomenal growth, we have had a massive cost of this growth. So, and one more point I want to make before I request the people in the audience to be with me, is that except 3 pockets of excellence in the last 10 years, which starts with Indigo, Cochin International Airport, another remarkable success story, and say VFS. Maybe you will have a couple of more points to add, which are the success stories of the last 10 decades. But otherwise, it has been gross wastage of capital. But the numbers are exciting, but it has come at a very high cost. Now, looking at this massive growth of cost, I must admit that we were not prepared for this growth. But what have we, each one of you, learned from the last 10 years? And I start with, and I seek your indulgence for the next couple of minutes, and I go with the right-hand side of the audience. That is, anybody understood the growth, what has done it to your business? Why are we still not profitable in spite of the business? So if anybody wants to participate with me in this, I would appreciate. Pardon me? Okay, so I'll come to that. Why is it, and I will specifically go to the travel agents, don't go on to discuss airline business models here. But in terms of the travel agents, why we have not made money where we had added 90 million traffic? Pardon me? Undercutting, that's number one. Anybody else?
Yeah, we don't have the kind of resources for putting a large technology. And the technology companies who don't understand travel have just come into the business where they don't know what the profit in business is.
Excellent. So we're talking about not having the, let's put it like that, we're not set up to succeed. Basically being the small nature of our business. You talked about undercutting. And are we saying by that that there are too many players? Right? So 2 points. Anybody else wants to make a point? Commoditized. And we heard from Ashwini, the focus is going to be on personalization. Technology will become a commodity. Service will play an important role. Anybody else who wants to raise his hand and just contribute with me on this? What have we learned in these last 10 years? Why have we not made money? Zero commission. You said about too many people, lack of technology. Anybody on the middle side? Yes, please. Service fee, customer not willing to pay for what you're going. Anybody else on the left-hand side? So we heard, pardon me? Unhealthy competition, which goes to the point he was making is that maybe we have too many agents. The point I was trying to make is that whatever has happened has happened. We have seen, yes, Pramod.
I think, like you said, we've gone from 2 billion to 10 billion. You only said 3 success stories, Indigo. I think a lot is also, we need to blame our government because they have not taken, there is no clarity on the aviation front. The government has not really, I mean, either, you understood what I'm trying to say.
I'll come to that, and I have that point. But, just 1 minute. So what I was trying to say to you, and which was my point in the presentation, that the last 10 years, in spite of a massive growth, all of us are struggling. The biggest one, maybe a couple of $1 billion turnover, net 2-3 million. Very, very challenged environment. And what are we learning from it? And I'll come to that at the end of my conversation. And I must say the script got changed after I heard Ashwini, so I've jotted down some points. Second, which is very, very interesting, is the next phase of growth. In the next phase of growth, and coming to some forecast we have done, I will not come to a 10-year forecast. I'll just put a 3-4 decade forecast just to give you what is potentially possible. We could see a 1 billion traffic mark when we move from currently a 2 trillion to a 14, 15 trillion economy, closer to what the United States is right now. So that's a massive upside. Massive upside and a transformational upside, something we can't even understand. We will come to that, what is required to set it up, and I just want to give you some stats so that we can understand the difference in the size, what we are today and what we will be in, say, takes 2 to 3 decades. A 2.1 trillion economy, and the Prime Minister wants to be an aspirational target of 20 trillion, 4-5 decades, but possible, if we can get our all act together. We have roughly potential for 10,000 aircraft in India over the next 3 to 4 decades. I'd like to give you some numbers which were very exciting, that when I said a $9-10 billion turnover of airlines, United States Airlines does $216 billion of turnover. We could reach there, and we are going to reach there. That's the potential of this marketplace. We have 385 aircraft that are functional or Indian register. In America, there are 6,650 aircraft, commercial aircraft, 4,350 aircrafts in Europe. The hotels, and this is an interesting statistics, 52,000 hotels in the United States, 5 million plus hotel rooms. India, in spite of a large investment over the last 10 years, will reach about 140 to 150. Europe has about another 5.3 million room beds in about 130,000 airports, 130,000 room beds. So what I'm trying to say, even on the general aviation side, there are almost 200,000 aircraft in North America. Out of that, the business jets itself is 10,000, and we have 700 odd planes. So the point I'm trying to make over the next 10 decades, whatever has happened, let's learn from why we didn't make money. And we must do a deeper introspection. It's not the question of what to do, the question is how to do it. And if we have not done it for so many years, what will make us take the advantage of this growth? Because the growth is going to be massive. Are big going to get bigger and small going to be shrunk or out of business? That's a question smaller agents like yourself need to ask. In the paucity of time, I will basically just talk about some other third important issues. And if I can quickly get one, Mr. Goyal is not happy with the Q&A, but I'll just ask you one quick question. Are you confident that from where all of you sit, knowing the growth is going to be transformational, are we confident that we are going to be sustainably profitable, most of us, rather than having 2-3 pockets of excellence? Are we confident that we are going to be, most of us are going to be reasonably doing well because we have a growth appetite? If you can just raise your hands, are we confident that we will do as much as we deserve to do over the next 10 years? Not all of you. The second question post that is, and which Ashwini talked about, is are we set up to succeed? I am on various committees of the government, and wherever I go, I feel the government has very, very aggressive mission, but on ground, they're not set up to succeed. Before I go to the government and see regulation, policy, infrastructure, skills, all those issues, I want to ask as an industry, are we set up to succeed? And these are the questions I'm leaving to you. We have less time. I had a little more points, but to set up to succeed, what kind of business models Ashwini said, Ashish said yesterday, operating models. We talk about the kind of expertise that we required if we want to be what Ashwini said. How do we get that expertise? How do we get that specialization? Who will get us that specialization? And how quicker can it happen? Will we see international companies coming here, absorbing us, and most of us being left behind from the story? That's something that I want to tell you, is that we know what to do. The question is how to do. Who will tell us how this is to be done? I haven't seen in the conventions that I've attended that somebody gives the kind of solutions that are required for each one of you to take advantage of this massive opportunity. So all of us need to ask is that, are we set up to succeed in this? Second, what kind of a strategic framework is required to make this business profitable, business sustainable? That's something that where, is it collaboration? Is it sharing of expertise? Is it alliances, what Ashish said yesterday? How do we get to a situation where we are profitable? I have another set of questions, and I'm rushing, to be honest with you. I've lost track of my papers. The key things that I would like to say to you in conclusion is that we have had growth which is extremely transformational, and what you want to witness over the next 3 to 4 decades is my game-changing. We have not taken advantage of the last growth cycle. Are we going to take advantage of the next growth cycle? Is the industry, when the gentleman said we have, I was told 3,000 agents, and with the B2B business, we're talking about 25, 30,000 sub-agents. How can you be profitable? What as an association you need to do? Do we require 3,000 people? Will you be always speaking the way we are speaking, what to do? That's one thing that as an industry we must collectively get and find, is there a solution to becoming sustainably profitable? Is there anything to learn from Indigo? Is there anything that we can learn from Cochin Airport? They're going to make a terminal, and people who are from Kerala, I would like to know from them. They're making a terminal which is about 1 million square feet for about 10 million passengers, I think, roughly 200 million, less than $200 million. And other cities, we see airports built for $500 million to $1 billion. So can we learn from such companies? Can we learn from VFS? I have been here attending TAFI and TIEs and all these associations for a pretty long time. Honestly speaking, we have not got our act together. Why we have not got our act together? Is it an association issue? Is it your own issue? Is it that fact that you are not, is it a supplier issue? That airlines are doing business with whoever it comes? Are they not concentrating on working with fewer people? How are these airlines, airports, cruise industry, GDS is helping you, not from a tactical perspective, but from a strategic perspective, so that we reach the goal of what I call a transformational and sustainable profitability. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything else to say in the positive time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I just wanted to leave one thought behind you, that we have been saying the same things for decades now. You need to ask yourself as to why we're still here, why we're still not reached a stage where we need to be, and what is needed to be done, who will do it, whether it's an association, is it industry leaders, who will get us to a stage to execute what is arguably the largest growth story opportunity in India for the next 3 to 4 decades. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I knew about this topic a little earlier. Coming from an advertising background, being a creative director, I will cut a film for about another 3-4 minutes on this topic of more the merrier. But nevertheless, being a copywriter, words would do. And I'm going to stick to the brief, more the merrier. So what can be more apt than TAFI Convention to happen in Israel? There's a lot of similarities of TAFI fraternity and Israel. Just like Israel, we travel agents have faced many odds. Precisely 22 enemies, the airlines. As Mr. Yossi Fateh said, they're not partners, but probably they're not enemies. We are one of the same fraternity like the 22 countries surrounding Israel are, but when we started off, there were a lot of odds. But actually, it began with a lot more commissions, just like when Moses led the Israelis. There was a lot of merrymaking when they came to the promised land. We all had fun. We had excellent commissions, 9%, 11%, blah, blah, But I think a lot of merrymaking ended abruptly when the challenge of change happened. The airlines decided, not just for the heck of it, probably they had their own economic reasons for moving into different regimes. So then the challenge of change happened. So then how did the more still keep on happening? Yeah, probably that's where the change happened. A lot of air ticket consolidators started selling more. They started selling holidays, they started selling every element of travel. So probably more the merrier was not just now, it started a little much before. And it's been there, and probably it will still continue. But we need to really place in context what and define what more is good enough for us, each individuals and as a fraternity as well. So, and I think probably like Israel, we not only survived, we thrived by such that transformation. And some of us are still struggling with it, but I think most of us are still here, which is probably a testimony to that. Yes, we are adapting, but there's still a lot more room for improvement. And what is that? Probably that will give us, add more products. Is that the only solution? Not too sure. You can sell insurance, you can sell foreign exchange, you can sell probably a dinner with champagne as an added element in the holiday of a honeymooner. There are many more things that probably you could think of and increase your revenue streams up there. But is that the only way? Is quantitative the only way to look at more? Or is there a qualitative more that we could look at? By a qualitative more, what I say is, can we probably, like Mr. Ashwini said this morning, you go to a doctor when you're not well, like probably we need to have those customers of us coming back to us for that advisory. We shouldn't be travel agents, probably we should be travel consultants. We should show them how we are adding value to their travel. What is 100 rupees of worth that they would have paid for? We buy it at 80, but we sell still, I would like to sell it to you at 90. I'd keep that 10 because I earned it, and you still save 10. That's probably a qualitative more that we could look at. Is that, I'm sure here, many experts here probably would like to put your heads together, and probably TAFI could formulate that. Is that the way? Or in another way to say is, let's not dilute the focus, let's not focus on selling more, let's focus on what our expertise is, and probably give more to the customers we have than acquire more customers. Or probably if you are bigger size, maybe you can afford more customers and still offer more. But, the smaller ones can probably become niche and become the more of that niche, more luxury, say more wedding specialists. I've seen some small small agencies started by friends of mine thriving. Probably they're doing better EBIT than some of the big operators put together. Probably that's the more that they are looking at. There's a small agency in Bangalore who does only 500 customers, and he finishes his transactions in 4 emails. And I asked him, when I went back to Bangalore, I said, is it still 4 emails? He said, no, it's WhatsApp now. They don't even send emails. It's a little bit of exchange on WhatsApp, and I sell the holiday to them. So is that the more? Or is the more in terms of asking for more services? I think each individual agent here probably should transform, and that should probably reflect in the whole fraternity of TAFI. And probably then, I think we will have answered our questions. What more is the right more for us, to be merrier? Is it, I think the bigger players, you can afford, if you have the bandwidth, maybe you can start more niches, not just MICE, business travel, but you should have your own more within those focused niches that you have. And probably that's what, from my perspective, is the more, that's the need of the hour for all of us here in this fraternity. And with this, I'll keep it very short. Thank you. And I'll leave the last word to Mr. Subhash.
Friends, the hour of decision has arrived, and we just cannot afford to wait, because the winds of change are blowing over our country, and this wind is going to take away all those agents who do not have their feet firmly planted on the ground. How do we plant our feet on the ground? Ladies and gentlemen, it's now or never. I don't want to give you statistics because everything is available on the net. I want to give you solutions. Firstly, I was thrilled to come here for two reasons. 30 years ago, God bless his soul, Lalit Seth called me up in Delhi. I had just become, he said, we want to form an association. And I, being one of the founder members of TAFI, was thrilled to know that in spite of all the problems, about 500 of you have come to this holy land. God bless you, and you are the people who will change the destiny of our country, because you are the people who can overcome anything. So why can't we make our businesses profitable? That is the challenge. More products is merrier. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we have to look at this country, Israel. I was president of Delhi University Students' Union. I was invited for a student conference on youth unrest in Paris. There was student unrest in Paris and the conference was shifted to Israel. We didn't have diplomatic relations with Israel. Israel was not there on the passport. Israel, South Africa. I gate crashed into the parliament. Those days, the security was not so much. I knew Mrs. Gandhi because we had donated 1 lakh rupees those days for the National Defense Fund. And I said, I have to go to Israel. So I became the first Indian who traveled on an official passport to Israel. And that was way back in 1971. And in 71, when I crossed the airport, I missed, it was delayed because only TWA used to operate via Rome. So I, like a lot of you missed your pre-conference tours, I missed my pickup. And when you come out of the airport, there was desert. And I walked till the main road where I got a lift from a beautiful girl. I didn't dare flirt with her because she had a machine gun with her. But I tell you, this country is transformed. And what a wonderful speech the president of the Travel Agents Association of Israel, so inspiring. Even I must compliment Ashwani Kakkar. I agree with you, it's a fantastic presentation you made, and I always get inspired from you, Ashwani. But friends, the challenge for all of us is, how can we survive? All those pieces only those pieces have survived in the world on this planet who have adapted themselves to change. No one is bigger than the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs did not adapt itself to change. So the dinosaurs became extinct. So those of you who are still living in their ivory towers or kabutar ki jagah are waiting for the billy to grab you, either to be bought or to be sold, you're going to vanish. Unless you adopt technology, unless you change with the changing times. And for organizations like TAFI, I was very happy they have done a WhatsApp application. Why can't they do a WhatsApp for all the members? I mean, individual, one question was asked that we don't have the resources. Jointly, you have the resources. And there is no reason why it cannot be done. Jointly, we can fight. I remember with great difficulty You see, Indians, we have ego. And if we leave our ego out, then we can achieve anything. With great difficulty, I remember when Raji Rai was there in TAI, we got TAI, TAFI and the IT Agents Association together. And what the Israeli president was saying, that rather than they dividing and ruling us, we should divide the airline and rule them. So what I suggested that time in that meeting, and we can do it. It was zero commission. We boycotted Jet Airways. I said, don't try to boycott all three. If you try to boycott Air India, unko farak nahi padta. If you try to boycott, so we boycotted Jet Airways. And within 1 week, the commission was restored. So आपके अंदर इतनी जान है, इतना दम है, कि दुनिया की कोई ताकत आपके साथ, मतलब you can do anything. But the point is, we are very selfish, Indians by nature. हम organization बनाते हैं अपने vested interest के लिए, कि मैं president बना रहा हूँ, मैं अपना business increase कर लूँ, और मैं fam trips पे चला जाऊँ, मेरा फायदा होता रहे. You know, if you put the nation first and the organization first, there is nothing you cannot achieve. 20 years it took for me to fight for e-visa. In the previous government, we went up to, the Prime Minister's office, to Sonia Gandhi. They listened, but they did not take decisions. This time, I went to Arun Jaitley, old friend. We are from the same college and same class, and I was president before him of the University Union. He said, what can I do, Subhash, for the tourists? I said, do e-visa and tourism will double. But unfortunately, the bureaucrats, and that is the tragedy of this country, एक तरफ तो e-visa से we are trying to double the numbers, उन्होंने biometrics introduce कर दिया. Now with biometrics, I got the call from the French president of tour travel agents that we are going to cancel our tours. With great difficulty, we got it shifted. And now we are trying that biometrics should stop and it should be done at all the Indian airports. And how many of you are doing inbound tourism? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 of you. So, it is a commitment to your country. And it is another opportunity for you to make money. The same infrastructure, the same staff. Ticking में रह जाओगे तो खत्म हो जाओगे. We'll have to, instead of Ministry of Tourism, you'll have to go to Ministry of Environment as an endangered species. You have to change. So I would urge all of you to focus on inbound tourism also. There's good money in it. You get your money in advance, right? You take care of the tourists and you serve your country. Because India is the greatest show on planet Earth. It's the birthplace of 4 great religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Jainism. Sufism. Islam originated in the Middle East. But the spiritual side of Islam flourished in India, whether it was Bulle Shah, Kabir, Nizamuddin Auliya, Alauddin Chishti, and so many Sufi saints. So Israel is a holy land, and so is India a holy land. One of the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ is there. One of the oldest synagogues, Jewish synagogues, is there in Cochin. So the tourism between both the countries have to increase, and here is an opportunity कि सिर्फ don't be just outbound operators, be inbound operators. And that's what I tell my inbound operators also in IATO, that try to do outbound. Because outbound is between April, May, June, maximum July. And inbound is in October, November, December, when it's a lean season. So you will be able to balance. And then forget about the air tickets. ठीक है, we'll file the case. I've asked him. If you want IITO to contribute in this, IITO will also contribute money. We'll get TAI and the IITA Agents Association. And we must not only take the example of Israel, we should also take from Japan, where they are successful. We should take from Australia, where they're successful. We should get in touch with these guys and build on their successes. And I'm sure we will succeed. And once we get this big chunk of money back, which the airlines have stolen from us, it'll be music. Then we can, really, we can do it, yaar. Isme koi matlab, I'm not trying to say, there is nothing impossible. If you have a dream, you can achieve it. Well, friends, I would also like to say that we are still fighting for service tax. I don't think we'll get it in the budget because the country doesn't have the money. But still, I have been promised some relief, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We have to fight for the smaller agent because the big fish or the big players can fight for themselves. They can afford to develop apps, they can afford to do internet marketing, but it is the associations, otherwise the associations are meaningless. The associations need to fight for the small tour operator and the small travel agent. I, as a company, I started my company with 1,000 rupees borrowed from a friend. And today, I started a student travel information center. That's what STIC stands for. And when the times changed, I changed to marketing. And when I realized marketing, I said, who are my customers? My travel agents are my customers. So about 20 or 30 years back, 25 years, 30 years back, we have made a policy that we as a STIC Travel will not have a single company account. Whatever business comes, it has to come to the travel agent and the tour operator. And that has been the secret of my success. Because these small operators, when they know if they come to me, their customers are safe. So we have started focusing on non-air products, and that is what I would like to tell you. Earlier we were representing only airlines, but we make more money on I represent GSA of 11 international airlines, but we make more money in the 3 cruise lines that we represent, because we get good commission there, and so do the agents get good commission. We have started making money on hotel bookings, the Wyndham group of hotels that we represent. We've started making money on rent-a-car, Europe rent-a-car. So I would urge all of you, I mean, you choose your line. Today, as rightly pointed out by my learned friend Ashwani, that everything is available on the net. Still you go to a doctor. So if doctors have not failed, the lawyers have not failed, then why are you going to fail? Only thing is that you must have the self-confidence in you. You must have what Swami Vivekananda said, muscles of iron and nerves of steel, and gigantic wills, because you have the power. In the Bible it is written that God is within you, kingdom of God is within you. And you have to have that passion. And with that passion, there is nothing you cannot achieve. I was very impressed with my friend who talked about, WhatsApp and going to the groups and other things. Fine. You have to take the opinion of the majority. But friends, a leader is a person who leads and is not led. You see, if you are convinced that what you are doing is right, then you have to convince the majority for that. Because all great men have swum against the current. It's very easy to swim with the current. But I would urge you that it's very important to take the opinions. But after the opinions, remember the magic formula which I have, that I will never do anything which will bring a bad name to my parents, because they are the ones who brought me into this life. I will never do anything which is against the national interest of my country. And I will never do anything which is against the interest of the organization which I represent. Whether it's a company you represent or the federation or IATO or TAFI, whatever you represent. As long as you keep this above, rest I'm ready to clean the toilets, I don't have any shame. Because I'm doing something honorable. So we Indians must learn from the Israelis. What a wonderful way of attacking the airlines, and that is what they are doing. They are surrounded by enemies all over. When one I don't want to take the names, they do a bomb in one of their cities or anything, they go on the other side. And they attack them where they least. This is known as guerrilla warfare. And business, ladies and gentlemen, is marketing warfare. It is the survival of the fittest. And unless you change and you add more and more products to your list and see which products are profitable and which are not profitable, forget about them. Don't have ego. कि मैंने 2 crore की domestic tickets बेच दी. If you're not making money, forget about it. Let the guy do it on the net, क्योंकि एक problem हो गई, you lose all the money. And then he's sitting on your head. The same time, you can spend in either getting an inbound tour to your country and doing a national service, earning foreign exchange. And if you earn foreign exchange, there's a lot of tax benefits you get. So you're going to benefit. I'm really grateful to TAFI for having given me an opportunity. And thank you very much for the patient hearing. Jai Hind.
Well, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask all of you, in interest of time, I'm going to ask, can we take in 2 questions in interest of time? Yeah? So audience, you'll have to quickly raise your hand. Only 2 questions will be taken for this session in interest of time, please.
Goyal sir, good afternoon. As you told that service tax thing, due to difficulty of the money, we will not be able to get a waiver for the service tax in our industry. But
no, I didn't say that.
No, just something near to that.
This is what I was conveying.
Let me finish my question. At least can you do, with your good influence or good relation with the government, a clarity in service tax?
Yeah, that I've already taken up, and you're going to get in this budget a lot of clarity. And once GST is introduced, we made a joint representation with Faith also. Once GST is introduced, we've asked for the lowest slab. We went and met the Secretary Revenue also, we met the Secretary Finance, we met the Finance Minister, and we are confident that maybe if not in this budget, definitely before the next budget, GST will be introduced. And that will solve all our problems of clarity. But yes, it is a commitment of the Modi government. I'm not trying to, that even for the first time in Madison Square, and even in their manifesto, tourism was mentioned. And out of the 5 T's, 3 T's are from my book, which I wrote in 2001, Poverty Eradication and Economic Development Through Tourism, which I presented to Modi ji, and we had about 1 hour interaction. So I'm very confident that the time is good. United we'll stand, and divided we are going to fall. So my appeal to all of you is remain united, work together with TAFI, strengthen TAFI's hands, and let all the associations work together so that we do something for the benefit of all of you.
And since we don't have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, can we please give them a huge round of applause for the last business session of the TAFI Convention 2015. I request all of you to kindly stay back up on stage. May I first and foremost request Mr. Yogesh Dosa, who is the Managing Director of Galaxy Travels, to please join us up on stage and do the honors and hand over a small token of appreciation to Miss Iris Lavi. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Thank you, Yogesh sir, for doing the honors. May I request Mr. Mark Mendes, he's the Director India for Discover the World, to please join us up on stage. So may I request you to kindly hand it over to Mr. Kapil Kaul, please. Thank you. May I request Mr. Sunil Uttam, Pune Chapter Committee member, to please come forward. And hand over the memento to Mr. Gopi Iengar, please. Yes. And may I finally request Mr. Thampi, who is the chairman of RIA Travels, to please come forward. And let me quickly share a good news as all of this is happening. The University of Swahili, created by the Ministry of Education, approved and honored doctorate to Mr. Biju Krishnan, who is the editor of Asian Traveller India, for his 25 years of journalism and tourism. What a good news at Holy Land. Can we please give him and congratulate him with a huge round of applause? And ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together here for Mr. Subhash Goyal? And with this, I'll request all of you, please give our 4 presenters of the last session of the business session of the TAFI Convention 2015 a round of applause. Thank you all. And of course, if you do have any queries, they will be available